Well, hello, and welcome to EverQuest Terrors of Thalumbra beta stream. I'm Ry Schuler. Some of you guys know me as Roshan, and I'm joined by a bunch of people from the EQ2 team.
Hi there, I'm Emily, known as Domino on the forums, and we also have, leaning in the side here, Tim Hadelar, our wonderful art director, and the shoulder of candor, who's lurking at the side, and on the couch.
Nathan, K. Thiel on the forums.
And Carlos, Ninja on the forums.
So yeah, we're going to get right into the game. So since our last stream, a lot of things have been updated in Thalumbra. Things are looking pretty good. I mean, if you guys are in beta, you've seen that anyways, but we'll go through and we will check out all the new hotness. But first, I guess, let's do this thing. In case you guys have never heard of EverQuest 2 or Terrors of Thalumbra, pre-orders are right now available for this expansion. Launch is currently scheduled for November 17th, as seen right here on screen. And when you pre-order, you get a bunch of stuff. Well, you get one thing for pre-ordering, and then if you get a collector's edition or a premium edition, you get a bunch of stuff. So let's, you guys want to go through that briefly?
Yeah, we'll go through very quickly, because people want to get into the main zones, but very quickly, on the screen, you can currently see the pre-order altar. So as soon as you pre-order, this will magically appear in your claim section. Clicking on it when it's in your house gives you a buff, and that will give you a bonus to Tithe, which is a new type of experience that you can use to buy deity miracles once the expansion launches. And then you also get a bunch of other very cool house items and a very cool house. So the house is themed to the expansion. It is the underground City of Dwarf themed look, the Dalgar they're called. And Tim's zooming back so you can see the amazing carvings. You can actually fly in this zone, so you can fly up to these different level rooms. And there's, I think, 3 separate levels and some gorgeous water around it. It's a really pretty zone. And in the collector's edition, you also get a recipe book to make... Uh-oh.
Apparently ogres can't fly.
Ogres cannot fly. That is not changing with the expansion. You also get a recipe book in the collector's edition to make basically modular building block type items that will go in this house perfectly, but you can put them in any house, and they're just themed with the same look. So you can see laid out around the edge. You can see there's a set of stairs, there's a couple of floor tiles, there's a little dais. You can see there's a little Berber plushie sitting on top of the dais, which comes as well, and if you click on him, he does some cool animations. You can also turn him into a petamorph wand to give his appearance to your combat pet, if you wish. We've got pillars. We've got a cool domed roof, which is really great for putting a roof on anything that you build out of these sets. Some stairs, a rail, etc., etc. You can see them all around the edge here. You also get this awesome painting, which is the key art for this expansion.
So these are all items from Collector's Edition?
From the Collector's Edition, yes. And you also get a really cool looking mount, which is a flying serpent. And if you're with us in beta, you also can earn a beta testing mount. If you complete a number of requirements, which you will see in beta or on the beta forums. This is the beta reward mount. Looks particularly cool at night. It's a Demon Pegasus flying mount.
So in beta, what are the types of things people need to do to get this mount as a reward?
Well, there's a couple different ways, but generally things like completing enough quests or doing enough instances. The Tradeskills have a quest line of their own, etc. So there's a couple of mounts you can earn. They have the same appearance, but you earn them in slightly different ways. And there'll be more details of those on the forums, I believe.
Yeah, I think generally, unless something's changed for this year. So you go through and such... like the overland quest lines, you unlock one of these for a live character, and if they do it again, they can unlock it for another live character?
Yep, so you can get multiple of these, and when the expansion goes live, you'll have them on the live servers. Alright, so the last, actually, do you want to quickly show the Collector's Edition and the Premium Edition mounts as well? Yep, you have them equipped. It's those ones, yeah. So this one, I believe, is the Premium Edition mount. They're slightly different colors, but they're basically the same type of serpent.
If I recall, the Dark Haven upgrades based on what people do as Thalumbra, as they
Yeah, the collector's edition mount just keeps the stats that it starts with. The premium edition, which is the one we're looking at, as you complete certain content in Thalumbra, the stats will upgrade. So those are super cool as well. We haven't done a serpent mount before, so pretty excited by this guy. He looks really, really cool. All right, and the last house item that we hadn't seen yet is this tunneler. And that's a clicky item that will actually take you into Thalumbra when you click it.
Can we click it and go to Thalumbra?
Just a moment, actually. Before we go to Thalumbra, I was just going to quickly mention we have a couple new systems that have been introduced for this expansion. The Deity Tithe system and the Infusing system. We're not going to go into a huge amount of detail on this stream because we're trying to keep this one fairly short, and there is an article out on the forums about these already, and I'm sure there'll be more updates coming on the beta forums as we tweak them and get your feedback. But right now, Tim is showing us the Infusion window. Infusion basically allows you to increase the stats on items, and you can do this by directly paying platinum and or by using actual infuser items, which can be obtained in a number of ways. So the UI for that isn't 100% complete yet. There will be more helpful tooltips on that, but check out the forums for more details. And then he just toggled over to the Deity window, and you can see this is the new window. As you gain experience, those sort of arc-shaped experience bars will fill in with Tithe experience, which you can then use to purchase the miracles that you see around the edge. And depending on your alignment, you can buy miracles from gods that are either neutral to your god or match your alignment. So for example, if you're a goody-goody high elf like Josker, you can buy good or neutral, but not evil miracles. And if you are particularly aligned with a deity, for example, Tunari, then Tunari's miracles are at even more of a discount. They have a little bonus for you. All right, so that is all we were going to show you here. We're now going to go over to Thalumbra, and I will quickly tell you about the Tradeskill questline, and then we'll switch over to Nathan and Carlos, who are going to tell you more about adventuring, the zones themselves, raids, and all that good stuff. So if you're a Tradeskiller, and you want to get into Thalumbra through the Tradeskill avenue, you are typically going to want to do the Tradeskill questline, which will give you a little background to the expansion, as well as telling you why they're there and getting you there directly with the faction that you're going to need. Because if you go directly to Thalumbra, you're going to find they don't know you and they're not very friendly. So Tradeskills, as many Tradeskill adventures do, this one is going to start in the Isle of Mara as well. You're going to get probably an in-game email from Captain Ethan, who you've helped in the past, and he is going to ask to meet you there again. And he will be in the bar in the Isle of Mara. He will start you off on the Tradeskill questline, and you're going to go to various zones, both in the old world and in the new zones, learning what's up, what this place is, how you can help, and earning their trust. And the Tradeskill signature line does reward you with an excellent item. It's actually a relic. I should actually mention relics are another really cool feature of this expansion. Relics are basically the most awesome item that exists of that type, but you can only have one equipped at a time. So you can have as many as you like, or as many as you can earn. You might have a relic breastplate and weapon and hat, but you've got to choose which one of them you have actually being worn at a time.
I've heard some of the kids on the street call this a best in slot item.
Yeah, it is definitely
the best thing you'll put in that slot.
Yes, yes, but you can only have one.
They're not all best in slot, but they typically have some really cool, unique abilities that you wouldn't otherwise find on items.
And we do have some other best in slot items which you also can earn, and both the best in slot items and the relics, you can earn different ones in different number of ways, so pretty much every playstyle will be able to get at least one relic and at least one best in slot item, and that includes Tradeskilling. Alright, hopefully that was coherent. We are now in Thalumbra, so let's go over to Nathan on the couch and hear a little bit about this awesome looking new zone.
Well, for adventurers, you're going to start these quest lines in either Greater Fadark, Kelethin, or in Neriak. And then from there, you're going to do just a simple one little step, and then get thrown into this new world. So here we'll be exploring Thalumbra and learning all of the threats that have been facing the city of Maldora. And Maldora is the city of Dulgar, which are the dwarves down here in the middle of Norath, down in the heart, as well as the Nemlin, and they are the gnomes that are down here. So, and they're living together in this one city of Maldora. But what you're looking at right now is much more of the landscape, this dramatic world that they have built their city in. So you can see that this is made up of all sorts of different sections. It really gives you a different world to explore within one zone. Very dramatically. Art has done an amazing job with this zone. It'll take your breath away.
And a number of the gorgeous plants and things that you're seeing in the zone can either be made by carpenters or actually purchased from a merchant in Maldora. So if you want to add those to your house, definitely check out the merchants and stuff.
So here is a Glaufe. They are a pretty mysterious race, but very, very ancient. They actually predate the dwarves. How, you ask? Well, get in game. Lore! No. You'll find that out. You'll be exploring that through the stories.
If they don't click through the dialogue real fast.
No, nobody does that.
No.
Nobody does that. I don't know what you're talking about. So here we go. This is one of the Dalgar mining tunnels. And you can see the gnomish influence in there.
Oops.
Oh, got stopped by a rock wall. But whenever you're in the Maldora area, you'll find both gnomish and dwarvish influences, and very well tied together.
Yeah, I think as we come to the city, here's probably a better example of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive. They did a great job with this. Our art guys did a fantastic job with this expansion.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a lot of quests he wants to give you.
Those are the weekly and daily missions. Yeah. So and then and this is just the outside of the city. This is just your basically your entrance area. Mm-hmm. And then you get to go on to the inside. Now there's a couple dungeons that are off of Thalumbra, and then there's a couple dungeons inside Maldora.
So right now, if people are playing on beta, they have not seen any of these dungeons.
They've seen some of them, some of the solo versions.
They've seen a solo version of them since Friday, because we really wanted to encourage people to go through the signature quest line, and that was being stopped by the solo dungeons not being opened. So we got those opened, but now, later today, all of the dungeons are scheduled to be open.
Mm-hmm.
After the next patch, we're going to...
Yeah, we've got the patch waiting.
So as long as we can get the patch out and out today, which I think they were saying that might be tomorrow, but once the patch is out, we'll unlock the heroics.
We'll let you know when we know when.
Right.
So, and here's one of the dungeon entrances right there. This is going into the algorithm.
Oh, we actually still have it locked on here.
Yeah,
I completely
throughout the
spaced
zone.
on unlocking it. I even had the command and I completely forgot to do it. I apologize. I locked the doors on you guys. I'm sorry. A bad person.
We are unlocking the door using special dev cheats.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So this one off of Thalumbra is the Stygian Threshold.
This is a really cool looking zone.
Yeah.
Very different.
Very creepy.
Yeah. You can see the influence here of being on the edge of the underfoot and how it is creeping into all of this life.
If you look at the trees, they're sort of starting to crystallize.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole zone is just slightly warped, slightly influenced by being so close to the deity who lives in the underfoot.
Oh no, he's being attacked. Way to trigger traps there, Tim. Wah, wah, wah.
You've died.
Beached it.
Yeah, you did.
And yes, I saw a question in chat whether the dungeons are what you're waiting on the Tradeskill quests. Yeah, it's the heroic dungeon versions that you're waiting on to finish those last couple Tradeskill quests. So they should be, knock on wood, unlocked today, and then you can finish those last couple quests.
There's a couple articles that we've got on the website right now that feature these different dungeons, and one of them was about the Stygian Threshold, and it talked about the denizens in here, and so it's kind of cool to now be showing you in 3D of, like, just how beautiful this place is.
Uh-oh, I sense spiders.
cobwebs tip you off?
They're little
Yeah.
spiders. That's fine, right?
If anybody's arachnophobic,
They're
you might
friendly.
want to look away now.
They're just going to want to hug you. Spiders like hugs.
They've got 8 legs to do so.
Yeah. You can find all of the articles about this expansion on the main EQ2 forums in the news and announcements section, so definitely have a browse through those. There's a lot of good information and some pretty screenshots, too.
Oh no.
Someone got some.
And if someone hasn't been to the forums or the website, it's just EverQuest2.com, spelled very much like you would expect it to be spelled.
Mm-hmm.
Get to see which dungeon we're being tossed into now.
I believe we are heading to Krellet Penumbra next. 'cause
Excellent.
I can look over.
I don't think they've seen
Tim's
this one
shoulder.
yet, have they? It's a new one?
Possibly not.
So this is also off of Thalumbra. These are the first 2 dungeons we're showing are both connected off of Thalumbra.
Obviously, these aren't the only dungeons. I mean, there's 12 or 13 heroic dungeons in this expansion.
Yeah, there are 13 heroic dungeons. Some people didn't like using the number 13, which is why he's saying
I
12
said
or 13.
12 or 13 to try to appease the certain person that doesn't want to be on camera today in the room.
Unlucky number, but it is the number of heroic dungeons that will be available for you when
The
Terrors of
baker's
Thalumbra
dozen.
launches
There you go.
There we go.
in
I like
November.
Baker's
We have
dozen.
it's a baker's dozen of
A
dungeons.
baker's
Yes.
dozen
Yeah,
We
that's
have
that's
this.
of
awesome.
dungeons.
It's the way
Okay, I
Half-Life
really,
put it.
I really love this model. This Fathom Lurker model
him.
is so cool.
Yeah, very
And Beast Lords will be able to use him as a warder. I was very, very pleased to get that all hooked
I
up.
might have to make
Yeah.
a Beast Lord.
So someone said our character animators like tentacles.
Tentacles, yeah, you know.
Who doesn't?
Those of
Yeah,
us that
these-
are Octopi fans, yes.
Yeah. So this is a pretty big zone. Actually, this zone is what's used
Massive.
for our contested zone. This expansion, which we haven't seen released with an expansion for a while. We haven't had a contested for a while, or ×2 for a while. That's released with the expansion. So
Are you getting both?
we're getting both. Yeah. In this zone specifically, the contested version is gigantic. I mean, it's a labyrinth. It's really hard to kind of make your way through it and not get lost. But I
it's
think
worth
that's
it.
kind of the point.
It's
Yeah.
worth it. And the heroic versions, well, the contested heroics, I believe,
Mhm.
will have some plunderable items
Yep.
in this zone, so you get to steal some of those cool statues that you see around, and the other
Good call.
heroic dungeons will too, of course. But
Right.
they're particularly cool in this version.
There's also a lot of really cool rooms in this dungeon that are very vertical. There's multiple levels, and you have to find your different ways of getting up to those levels, and you might not be as straightforward as you'd think. The level right above you might not be able to get to by just finding a stairway in the room. You might have to go all the way around, go to another room to find the entrance to it. But it's very cool.
Well, that makes the progression even more of a puzzle.
And it also adds to the grandness of the zone. I mean, you look up and you're like, oh, that looks really cool up there. And
How do
then
I get
Then
there?
you're spending, who knows how long trying to find your way up there.
Yeah.
And you might run across a boss or two on the way and get some
Maybe.
fat loots. And whoop.
Better.
Or he might run across you, which doesn't tend to go as
Yeah.
well. And carpenters get some of the items from this zone as well to make.
Yeah, you had quite a list of carpenter items.
It's decent, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't really heavy on the furniture, as you can see, but what they do have, I think we got a nice selection out there. Guess tentacles don't go too well with chairs.
More pillows. At least coconuts. Right?
Yeah. We got a good number of raid zones, too. Probably won't be showing them here, but three full ×4 raid zones. Anywhere from 5 to 9 bosses in them.
Many unpronounceable.
Yeah, some of them are unpronounceable on purpose. It's kind of like Lord Bob. You can make up your own name. We've also got some hidden bosses, some bosses that spawn in kind of peculiar blah 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 weird ways. There's also there's a one-shot boss again that you can try in the Maldora raid. There's also the ×2 zone, which has 9 bosses. The ×2 zone's kind of leaning more onto the easy side of of difficulty, so more people will be able to experience it and have fun, and it's kind of lighthearted and has some cool stuff in it that make you laugh and hopefully not cry.
So here we are in one of the Maldora dungeons. And so this is the side that the dwarves are using as a smelting and mining, and but yet there are some bad guys in here. So what's going on with them? It's another one of those points that you get to learn about while doing any of the quests really in Maldora, because they all touch on this inside threat. And they are called the Immolated. So they kind of look like they could be whites, but they came about in a very different way. So you get to learn about that, particularly through the signature line. But so many different things talk about them and give mention to them because it's just a big threat.
Shiny.
Yeah, chat is very upset at the way you're not picking up shinies too. Like, shiny! Can't run past! Tease.
We've all been trained. Shiny!
Mocking you now.
I really love the skeletons that Art that delivered for us for this expansion, because you can tell that those are actually gnomish skeletons or dwarvish. They're great.
They're not just human skeletons scaled
Shrunk.
down.
No, look at that.
They're great.
So stout.
I may or may not have been running around as a gnome skeleton with armor on.
I would highly encourage
Yeah,
that.
you know.
You can.
Why not?
Yeah.
It totally fits.
But there's so much zone interaction when you're in here. You'll see some of the bosses actually assemble themselves through debris in the zone, and you'll see different NPCs called by the fights. And there's a lot more puzzle involved with progressing through the solo version and the heroic versions on these. Off-camera conversation.
Sorry. Tim's asking if it's okay to show one of our new models.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
hey, if he approves that, let's
I'm
do
good
it.
with it.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier we weren't going to see a raid, so now here we are. Which raid is this?
Dang.
I don't know which one did we go into. This is the raid. So this is the Maldora raid. Hopefully there's not anything that's triggered in here. I don't think there is.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, if there is, we just get
Depending
to watch Tim
on-
die. It's all right.
Depending on the last time we updated it, I'm not sure if the model has been updated yet, but we'll see. It is a bit of a kind of a taking an old model and making it more themed to what we're doing, but I think it looks great. It turned out really good.
This
These
is
are
such a beautiful zone.
yeah. There's a really interesting fight in this room with Bareth. He's one of the immolated that are in part of this zone. He's a merchant that you'll come to know and love, maybe.
Love to kill?
he makes an appearance later in the dungeon after you kill him, so it's kind of cool.
Yep, there we go.
There it is. So this is the MCP powered pulsar, is what we're calling him. So I guess you can kind of tell what he's themed after, but he's very cool.
This is the first time I've seen.
He's more of kind of a centerpiece for this room for most of the times you come into this room in the various different versions of the zone. In the ×2 though, he's gone a little haywire, and you may or may not have to put him down.
Which means you have.
Which means you have to fight him. Yeah. Why not? What? Who got it? I mean,
Very cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, we've got like 5 or so minutes, I think. 6 or 7 minutes left. Is there anything we've missed that you guys wanted to show?
Not really.
There's so much more to see.
Oh, there's lots. I mean, I don't really want to give too much away. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
we try not to
there's-
spoiler everything.
Right.
Yeah, we're keeping the stream a little bit short because the guys are pretty hard at work right now trying to actually build the expansion. So we have a few minutes where we can maybe grab a couple questions from chat. We'll see if Tim wants to show anything else. We're trying to keep this focused on Terrors of Thalumbra and the beta. So if you guys have questions about the expansion and the beta, feel free to drop them in chat.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you want to check out beta, everyone that pre-orders gets immediate access to that. There has been a little bit of delay for people beta copying live characters. You could always do a beta buff and get into action right away. A beta copy is taking a little bit longer than we would like it to, but the team's working to address that so it could be much faster.
Basically, to just note about that. The entire structure of our database completely changed. So we can't use the tools that we had before, which were awesome. We have to remake those tools basically and have them designed for our database structure. And right now we're kind of using a kind of what we could make in a short amount of time that actually works. And unfortunately, it just takes a long time. So we're working on re-engineering that for future betas, but it's probably not going to make it for this beta.
I was impressed that the code team even got that.
Yeah, it was actually quite a feat to pull off the fact that they were able to get copies to work at all.
They did really well.
So.
For the question for
and merge servers and all of that other stuff they were doing at the same time.
Yep.
For the question for upgrading, so during pre-order the upgrades aren't available yet. After it goes live, you'll be able to upgrade. So if you purchase just the standard edition and want to get the collector's edition or premium edition rewards later, you'll have the option after it launches to upgrade. But right now, just because pre-order wackiness, whatever you pre-order right now is what you're charged for before launch.
People are also asking, how do you get here? Is there a druid ring? Is there a wizard spire?
No, so it's not hooked up to any of those. It's hooked up to these new gates that are tinkered portal gates. And again, those are currently just in Isle of Mara, one there for Tradeskillers, and then there's one in Kelethin and one in Neriak.
The Tradeskill one is going to unlock after you've done the appropriate quests, so you won't initially see it, but once you've unlocked it, it will lead to the Isle of Mara. And there's also the house item that if you get the Collector's or Premium Edition, we already showed that off, which will teleport you straight there, and there will be a tinkered port that if you're a tinkerer or if you are friends with a tinkerer, you can acquire. Question I saw regarding the beta copies, someone's been waiting for 4 days. I saw Holly say earlier, if you've been waiting that long, try putting in the copy command again, just in case something has gone wrong.
Right. The code guys have been trying their best to speed it up as much as possible, and in that process of trying to speed it up, some of them might have been missed. So if you've been waiting, probably more than 24 hours, I would go ahead and put it in again. Yeah. It's not. I have verified with them that it is not going to hurt anything if you try to copy again. It will take your latest request into account. So it is okay to go in and copy more than once. Just spamming it's not going to do anything. It's only going to add you to the list once, and then when it grabs it, it'll take it from there.
Because it'll run it twice, but the second one will have I think an X afterwards.
Yes, they will have an X afterwards. It'll work just like the like the merge did basically. If the copy already exists, it'll put an X on the end or whatever. It does not overwrite it, and like we thought. So you'll see if you copy 15
multiple
times,
characters.
you'll have 15 characters there.
Yep. And if you don't want to wait for that, as mentioned, we have beta buffers. Any new starting area, when you create your brand new character, just look around. There's a massively tall dude who's glowing red and labeled beta buffer. Amazingly, a lot of people apparently cannot see him.
The heroic zones
Just
and the raid zones
turn around.
will also have a spell on the zones that when you zone in, if you don't have the appropriate stats for that zone, it will automatically bump you up to those stats. So the important stats, at least, hit points, crit bonus, potency, all those type things, so that you can run the dungeon in the gear that you're wearing. So you could wear the quested gear and still be okay in most of the heroic zones.
That's the first time we've done that, right?
We did it last year, but they were more like spawned.
Right. That's great.
We had a few of them in that were static, but we wanted to make sure that people could test whatever they wanted to test. So
Awesome.
it's in there.
And the Tradeskill beta buffer is on the Isle of Mara, and you'll also find a copy of him in Maldora as well.
And we got a lot of questions about the raid zone availability and stuff like that. The raid zones aren't going to be available right away. We want to get at least one pass through them before we open any of them up. At least one ×4 raid zone will be open by the end of beta, providing we can get through it and get the first round of testing done. The ×2 will be opened up on beta for anybody to test who wants to test it, but we want to get those first polish passes done before we do that, so we don't get a flood of the same types of bugs.
A whole band right here, an entire band.
Be sure to check these guys out. They're in Maldora, and they actually have some pretty cool music that they're playing, just for fun.
Will we see Quo again in this X-Pack?
You'll see him if you bring him as a mercenary, but he's not making another quest appearance.
So beta is available now. Pre-orders are available now. We can go back to this first screen just to have it right here. pre-orders are available now. If you pre-order, you get access to beta. And then when Terrors of Thalumbra launches, if you've pre-ordered, you'll have access to that. Or you can purchase after launch. But if you order after launch, you won't get the altar.
You won't get the altar. And obviously you won't get to get into beta. But yes.
Yeah, so is there anything else in game we want to see? We're square?
There's more details on all of these items and the pre-order options on our website. So check that out.
Yeah. So, yeah, Terrors of Thalumbra. Pre-order is available now. Beta is open now. And yeah, if you have questions for us, we have beta forums. I mean, beta forums are available on our official forums.
And yes, there is a guild level increase, but no adventure or trade skill level increase.
Okay, cool. Looks like we're square. So again, thank you guys for tuning into the stream. This has been the Terrors of Thalumbra beta stream, and with everybody. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything before we sign off.
Toodles.
Yeah, get in beta and help us test, because your feedback's important to us, and it helps us, deliver a better expansion.
Absolutely.
And again, we have those little buffs on the zones and stuff that should help you get in and test those zones appropriately.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a copied character, you can still use one of the created characters, and they can still help out.
And if you do test, we have the beta reward mount, which you get for your live characters. And if you go through and test multiple times, things like the Overland questline, you can get that for multiple characters on your account for live.
Do we have an article up about that yet, or?
We were actually announcing it during the stream.
Oh, okay.
And then
We'll get
afterwards, posting on there what the types of
Awesome.
thing they were going to do.
All right, so we'll
Yes.
get that information out there so you can look it up, check out the forums. I know Rye's a little busy, but at some point in the next couple days.
Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. It's fine. Lots of stuff going on for both EverQuest and EverQuest 2.
Absolutely. We'll get that out for you soon.
So, okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you guys in game.